Okay, this is the video for the Unit 10 test review sheet number 1. The first thing on top of this sheet, class, is the matching for formulas. And this should be pretty easy. Just go through this real quick with you. Remembering some things about formulas. This one is pretty easy to figure out. We know that if it's r cubed, this is going to be a sphere. If we have 1/3 of base times height, then we know it's going to be either a cylinder, not a cylinder, sorry. It's either going to be a cone or a pyramid, because we know that cones and pyramids have a pointy end or an apex. So that means they're going to have to get, the cross sections are going to get smaller as they move parallel from the base up to the apex. So we know those are going to have 1/3. And then the rest of them we should have a pretty easy time figuring them out. So we know that E is going to be sphere, so we'll put that in there. And we know that A, cross that out, we know that A and C must be cones and pyramids. Let's take a look. A cone has a circular base, and pi r squared is the area of a circle. That means the cone has to be A. And then this one, the base here is length times width. The base of a rectangular pyramid, if we remember that class, is going to be a square or a rectangle. So that's going to be length times width as the base. So C must be rectangular pyramid. So now we're down to 3. Cylinder, rectangular prism, triangular prism. Well, cylinder is pretty easy to pick out because a cylinder also has a circular base. And so base times height, where base equals pi r squared, that's going to be a cylinder because it has a circular base. So D has to be cylinder. And now we got those done. We're down to rectangular prism and triangular prism. Well, a triangle is 1/2 of base times height, or 1/2 of length times width. So that must be a triangle. That's a triangular base, B. And that leaves rectangular prism is letter F, and that makes sense because, again, a rectangle is going to be length times width. So F has to be a rectangular prism. So not too big of a problem figuring those out. Let's take a look at the next part. Match each word with its definition. All right, let's think through these. I'm going to go through the descriptions first. The amount of space measured in cubic units, so units cubed, which an object occupies, or basically that's how much size, what's the size of a object in units cubed. And units cubed is going to tell us its volume. So we know it's got to be volume, so I'll put A there. Okay, take a look at the next one. Is made from polygons, and at least two of the faces, called bases, must be congruent and parallel. Well, we learn that's the definition of a prism. If you think about it, a prism is going to have, let's think of the case of a rectangular prism, is going to have a rectangle. That's a 3-dimensional rectangle or parallelogram. We've got all of our sides, edges connect together, and you can see we've got this base and this opposite face to the base. Those are congruent and parallel. Okay, letter C, a figure that is made up of multiple smaller figures. When it says multiple smaller figures, let's think about a figure is just an object, and we have more than one object being connected together. So that's going to be a composite figure. Composite means multiple shapes or multiple objects put together, or sometimes taken apart. We could have a big object with a smaller object cut out of it. So that's composite figure, C. Letter D, a flat surface that makes up a geometric solid. Well, if we draw a geometric solid, let's take a look at our rectangular prism over here. One of these flat surfaces is called a face. Remember we had the thing, which face is a base? The faces of a three-dimensional geometric solid are the flat surfaces that make it up. The line where the two faces meet, that's this little edge right here. We know those are called edges. When they're two-dimensional, we call them sides. When they're three-dimensional, we call them edges. So the line where two faces meet is called an edge. And then we have a three-dimensional figure with two parallel, congruent, circular bases and a curved lateral surface that connects the bases. Well, if we look at that, that's going to be a cylinder. I should connect those a little bit better. That's going to be a cylinder. This is the curved lateral surface, and then the two opposite bases here are both congruent, parallel, circular bases. So that is a cylinder, and that's F. So that covers the formulas and matching definitions. We'll move on to the next video.